World of Warcraft has seen some very dark times. Content droughts, design fiascos, scandals, systems too complex for their own good, and radio silence as community engagement hits an all-time low. And now Final Fantasy XIV and other competitors are closing in. But I don't think this has to be the end of the story for World of Warcraft. What World of Warcraft needs is simpler systems, more content, better community engagement so that the dev teams know what will get players excited to pick up World of Warcraft again. To that end, I have invented a system of my own, a simple system that gives players huge amounts of customization, that lets developers add awesome and useful abilities without fear of spellbar bloat, giving players the ability to upgrade 3 of their spells to be something new. I'm cooking up concepts for 7 of these upgrade spells for every spec. Some of them are returning favorites, some of them are brand new. Either way, Blizzard has my express permission to use every concept I post about in these videos in the comments or on the forums. And if the Blizzard developers are too pressed for time to engage with the community, then I will. I'll get the feedback on this concept, and even if they don't take a single one of my ideas, they'll know what the players want, and most importantly, why. And they can use that to make the game better, because I want this game better. I want WoW to last another decade. Guardian Druids were another one of those specs that I had a tough time cooking up upgrades for. I mean, several core abilities were already being replaced or buffed by talents or by PvP talents, taking them off the list of abilities that I could upgrade. I also have my doubts about how I upgraded some of the abilities that were available. I'm so hoping that experienced Guardian Druid players can steer me right with this. Let us start with the upgrade that I am the most in doubt about. Mark of Ursal, an upgrade for Ironfur, reduces the magical damage taken from the next 2 spells cast on you by 30% within the next 7 seconds, also boosting your armor by 50% of your agility. Costs 40 rage, and multiple uses of this ability can overlap. The second upgrade is Lacerate, an upgrade for Thrash that deals more damage, but it only deals it to a single target. The third upgrade is Lunar Shower, an upgrade for Moonfire that applies Moonfire to multiple targets. The fourth upgrade is Pound. It's an upgrade for Swipe that deals more damage, but again, only hits one target. The fifth upgrade is Briar Wrap, an upgrade for Entangling Roots. It deals nature damage over 10 seconds. It is instant and castable in bear form, and the Entangling Claws PvP talent increases its damage. The sixth upgrade is Healing Touch, an upgrade for regrowth. Almost all of the healing that it does is up front. It has a very small heal over time effect. It costs rage to cast it and is usable in bear form. The final upgrade is Headbutt, an upgrade for Skull Bash. It's got a shorter cooldown, and if you successfully interrupt the target is silenced. Now for the thinking. Druids have no magic damage mitigation that isn't general damage mitigation. I had wanted to add an option for mitigating spell damage, so I dug up Mark of Ursal. I kept half the physical damage mitigation because I figured almost every fight has physical damage, though I do wonder if reviving Savage Defense would have been a miser move here. If this was the wrong trade-off, please do let me know. I want to do something with Ironfur that'll actually make players excited without being a must-have in all situations and without making it overpowered. There's gotta be a way to do that. Shoot, what do you think of reducing damage taken from each hit by a set amount that's based on your attack power? I'm asking this because that reminds me of the old Blessing of Sanctuary effect, which was designed to be effective at reducing damage that's taken from a lot of little hits. Should I do something like that in the second iteration? Feedback would be appreciated here. Lacerate is another old stacking druid ability from the Burning Crusade, if I remember correctly. Hey, survival hunters weren't using that ability name anymore, why shouldn't druids get it? I figured that a druid can either swap Thrash out for Lacerate or swap Swipe out for Pound, but probably wouldn't want to do both unless it's a fight with absolutely no adds. And when I saw that Guardian Druids were generally weak on damage, I decided that giving them single-target versions of their multi-target abilities was a smart idea, and that's where Pound comes from. It's filler, not unlike Devastate, so it deals more single-target damage, and I figure that might help cover this weakness. Healing Touch is copied from Feral, and I've already discussed it in the Feral video, though I made it cost Rage because there were no procs in Guardian's kit that would allow it to be cast while in bear form. Though, now that I think about it, can't it be used to self-heal? And if I added the caveat that it can only be used to heal others, won't that be a suboptimal rage sync? Feedback on this would be appreciated. Maybe it's good that bears get a self-heal. Maybe it's okay that it be added via the upgrade system. I really don't know. Lunar Shower is an older talent that buffed Moonfire once upon a time, but I figured it would be the perfect term for a multi-target version of Moonfire. I'm doing so many different things with making multi-target abilities single-target and vice versa that I figured I should do the same with Bear's range direct damage ability. I thought about instead replacing this with Fairy Fire, which used to be Bear's ranged attention grabber in Classic, but that would not mesh well with Galactic Guardian. This would. I started to run out of ideas when I got around to adding Briar Wrap. I'd wanted to upgrade Mangle, but Guardian of Ursoc was already doing that. I'd wanted to sneak in Bramble Slam, but other abilities rely on Thrash's stacking debuff. I figured adding another damage over time effect to Guardian's kit would help them a bit with damage, and that would be the next best thing, so I tweaked it enough to make it useful, and here we are. I was going to upgrade Maul, until I found out that it was already being upgraded in the PvP talents. Really need to check those more often. So I copied in Skullbash's upgrade instead. Makes me wonder how I didn't think of that sooner. If I really run out of ideas, I might need to look at some more Pokemon moves to decide what to add. Yeah, that sounds like a joke, but I keep seeing spell names that look like they're straight out of Pokemon. Solar Beam, Fury Swipes. Heck, maybe I should have taken that Briar Wrap upgrade and made it Leech Seed instead so that you can get some healing from it. That sounds like a punchline, but Druids get their spell names from nature-y stuff, and so do Pokemon. Might be a coincidence. Now, when I started out with these upgrade concepts, I went ability by ability, not purpose by purpose, if you see what I mean. I asked myself, which abilities exist in this specs kit that I can give an upgrade to? And when I created upgrades based on which abilities I could upgrade, I often aimed for something that I thought looked or sounded cool. Almost always I wanted the upgraded ability to feel at least a little bit different from the original. Often I tried to create some kind of trade-off, making the upgrade situationally useful based on things like the number of targets affected or having a stronger effect with a longer cooldown, things like that. Rarely did I upgrade the same ability more than once for the same spec, but while I was putting together each spread of upgrades, what I didn't do, and what I probably should have done in retrospect, was to figure out what goals a player would have while they're looking at a list of upgrades, and then make sure upgrades exist in the spread that allow the player to pick upgrades that help them achieve those goals. In my next iteration, I plan to have that design goal in mind, to consider what the player wants to accomplish and how they could accomplish it with the upgrades. I strongly suspect that in this next iteration, there will be a lot more cases where I upgrade the same ability in 2 or more different ways. That will give players more options, and since that's going to be the goal with goal-oriented design, who knows? I might even have 3 different upgrades for the same ability in the end. However, I can do this much more effectively in an environment that has a great deal of feedback available, and that's where you come in. You have knowledge that comes from experience with these specs. I don't. I tried to do my research on Wowhead and Icy Veins for each spec, but inevitably there'll be things you know that I don't because you have experience that I don't have. You'll have more and better ideas than I could hope to have, and I know I need those, so please, let me know what you think of these upgrades and what better ideas you have for what to put in their places. Looking at Guardian's kit from the perspective of how does a player use the upgrades for such and such a purpose, I see that single target damage is buffed easily enough with Pound, Lacerate, and Briar Wrap. Multi-target damage can't really be upgraded much with this spread. I mean, Lunar Shower's multi-target, but that's it. Should I have added a second upgrade for Swipe that uses nature magic to create a kind of a consecration-like effect for Guardian Druids? Or do Druids already have so many multi-target abilities that something like that would be overkill? Considering what I did by accident by drawing Healing Touch into Guardian's kit, and considering what mistakes I fear I've made with my first iteration with Mark of Ursal, I worry that I might be, well, missing the point for Guardian Druids. Only players with experience can really tell me, or steer me in the right direction and into the right lines of thinking if I am wrong. So please do keep the feedback coming. Of course, I know Blizzard probably won't take many, or even any of these suggestions. Heck, they might even have something objectively better in store for us than the semi-borrowed power upgrade system that I've cooked up here. But knowing what gets players excited will be helpful to them even so. That is why I'm sacrificing so much of my free time and energy on Project Decade. And who knows? They might just need these ideas to get WoW going in the right direction. Heck, if this video series just gets the Blizzard developers into the habit of creating a blue post with the thinking in it that goes in depth enough for us to understand what they're doing and what their design goals are, then that would be a huge step forward. Even saying the thinking out loud is sometimes enough to get you a new perspective on what you're doing. Is it really what people want? Does it serve the purposes that it really should be serving in the end? Am I really doing something just to make a system look awesome instead of making the game overall better? What does it do for the fun factor? Am I making the mistake of prioritizing my design goals over the fun factor? Are my design goals the right design goals to have? Do my ideas match the spec's feel and flavor? Is it a net gain? Is it genuinely awesome? Things like that. Plus, we just plain need more communication from Blizzard. If Project Decade gets the development team into the habit of telling us the thinking for every change they make, then the whole project will have been worth it, even if they don't take a single suggestion. Again, if you see something you don't like bad trade-offs or something you know is counterproductive or useless, or if you've thought of an idea that's better or cooler or more useful than mine, then don't hesitate to let me know. The more details you can provide about why you don't like it and what makes one of my ideas counterproductive or useless, or about why your idea is cooler or more useful than mine, the better. One of the main goals of Project Decade is to give whoever's in charge of class design and player power systems a good idea what appeals to players and what will actually get them excited to get back to WoW again. And the more you can say about the wherefore and the why, the better. I fully intend to iterate on this project and make changes in response to feedback. I know I'm going to make mistakes. Heck, I've already seen mistakes in some of the things that I've done. But if those mistakes generate the kind of discussion that Blizzard needs to hear, so much the better. Blizzard needs to see player engagement, humility, and feedback actually making change and action so they can start doing what needs to be done to turn WoW around. It can be done and it should be done. World of Warcraft can last another decade. So keep the feedback coming, folks. There's one last thing. I began working on Project Decade videos back in July, and considering how many months it has taken, the fact that there are 36 different sets of feedback to curate and compile, and multitudes of decisions to make based on feedback received, ideas others have come up with, and how to weave everything together into a fun, functional, and exciting whole, I don't have a chance in the tramaculum of getting this done in any reasonable length of time unless I get volunteers to help me curate and compile the feedback I'm getting. If you're willing to help curate feedback, please let me know. If I get enough interest, I will set up a Discord server where we can coordinate everything. Thank you in advance for your feedback and support. Let's make World of Warcraft the best game that it can be.